Good day, everyone. My name is Mark Joel Galvante, and I will be discussing DEVC208 Communication, Social Marketing, and Social Mobilization Report on the approaches and domains in communication for development. This is under Module 2, Part 5, and this can be seen in our reference modules in the forum. Let's get started. For this report, we have the following objectives. Number 1, discovering new approaches to communication for development. Number 2, we will discuss the pros and cons of each approach. And then for number 3, we will apply these approaches for our future projects to implement in our development communication work. To start off, there are different samples of approaches in the domains and communication for development. As you can see here, we have 4 samples, such as the action research, advocacy, community communication, and communication for technology transfer in agriculture. Through these different approaches and domains, we will discover how we can best approach the different development problems that we are experiencing as communicators. To start off, I will begin with action research. Basically, action research or participatory research is about learning by doing. Basically, if you can see the graph here in this report, we will see that the outline for action research is very cyclical. If you see here, there's a planning, there's action, there's observation, and there's reflection and reapplication. As we can see here, taking action has a higher priority, with evaluation of effectiveness following just after. If we look at also the book that we are reporting for, we can see that analysis, fact-finding, conceptualization, planning, execution, and then another set of fact-finding and evaluation soon follows this kind of approach. So action research is actually very much oriented in seeing results first rather than doing a whole set of plans, because usually this is used for problems that require immediate attention. So in our example here, as we can see, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil has a problem with drug addiction. So what the researchers in this area did is that they did a film showing to help educate the community about drug abuse. And they also invited different stakeholders in this activity, such as leaders and other legislators, to understand how we can best approach this problem and how they can empathize with their constituents on this problem. So after showing this film with the legislators, they started taking action on this problem. And what they wanted to accomplish after this one is another set of film showing that is catered towards the community. So basically, they did this in order to attract attention on the problem. And then afterwards, because of the effect of the film to the legislators, they will have another set of campaigns in order to fully solve and fully answer these drug problem concerns in this community. So as you can see, it's very cyclical in nature. So this is basically for action research. And then next is for advocacy. For advocacy, we look at it from top to bottom. So basically for this one, we are communicating with key leaders, influencing leaders, and funding agencies. So these are people that we want to take action on our problems with some level of power in order to attract funding, in order to attract attention in our current concerns. So as you can see here, these are used for changing policies, altering power relations, and changing attitudes and behaviors. So an example of this is from a new So a US and African civil society network on water and sanitation, which was started to represent the growing need for development and implementation of water and sanitation plans in Africa. Basically, for this one, they aim to communicate these concerns with key stakeholders. These key stakeholders are leaders of the African nations. These are politicians, business owners, because they wanted to affect these problems in a regional and national level. So basically, advocacy um, tries to put the problem into the eyes and in the hands of leaders in each community. So, because these funding agencies and leaders basically have the power to implement wide social change due to their resources, advocacy uses these facts to help solve problems through in by proxy using their influence. So that is for advocacy. Next is community communication. So for community communication, this is a bit more different than advocacy because for community communication, we are trying to um, solve these community problems, development problems in the grassroots levels. So we're targeting highly specific local groups that aims to affect participation in the community. So oftentimes the mediums we use are interpersonal, community-specific communication mediums, and it also helps highlight very, very specific issues that are quite personal in the affected locals. So usually these are problems by marginalized communities, by indigenous communities. So it requires a lot of care in terms of handling because this is not mass media. This is not for all people, basically. So an example of this is from DZLB. Basically, it's a pioneering broadcast channel in UP Los Baños with the aim of initially educating farmers through broadcast media. As we all know, as UPLB students, it is considered the oldest existing rural educational radio station in the Philippines. And if you look at the history of this radio station, it is basically um, educating the key farmers in the area, and not just educating them, but also helping keep the community alive through strong engagement in this local mass media. So what they are doing is sharing information that is very much specific and relevant to the community of Los Baños. Our last example or our last approach for communication for development is CTTA. Communication for Technology Transfer in Agriculture is basically the name for the approach in which initially this is for farmers. These are for the transfer of agricultural technologies to grassroots level users or stakeholders. So based on the experience of people who are doing CTTA before, for agricultural means and for farmers, new technologies are hard to really explain or hard to educate to grassroots level people. So in order to make it a lot more easier, a lot more palatable to them, they use this approach in order to make the study a a lot more easy to absorb for a lot of our farmers. And basically, this approach, it's quite generic. Basically, it uses just 5 steps like assessment, planning, material preparation, delivery, implementation, and evaluation, which are formats that can also be found in DSC and SEC campaigns. Which goes to show that this kind of implementation isn't just used for educating farmers and new technologies, but also it can be applied to basically any communication problem or development problem, rather. So an example of this is when researchers in Bansalan, Davao del Sur, created a farming innovation program for farmers in Bansalan. Basically, it's a school on air program. And what it did is to enable farmers to learn more about new innovations in handling new techniques in farming, new innovations in implementing farming techniques. So, aside, of course, from solving these concerns, the researchers also use this program to help get feedback from the farmers and help improve the methodologies they've used with the intention of fully educating our farmers in the area. So as you can see here, this is something that can actually be applied on any development problem. And this can also um, be used to implement wider development communication approaches to different problems. So our key takeaways here is that each approach can be applied to different strategies in the right context, of course, with each approach showing strength in the following areas. So I just summarized these approaches in short sentences. So action research are for communication problems requiring immediate action, but it doesn't just stop in solving these problems. It tends to be cyclical in nature. And then advocacy is for key leaders and decision makers. And then community communication is for grassroots level implementation. So for marginalized communities, indigenous peoples. And then CTTA is for generic planning method with an end goal. So this is probably the communication approach that is best suited for all or can be applied to all development concerns. So basically, that's it for my presentation. I'll be showing here my discussion questions. So I'll just read through them. So number one, can you think of an ongoing development problem that is happening to your community? Which of the four discussed approaches do you think will best solve or answer this issue? And then number two, the two approaches, community communication and advocacy, both tackle specific differing stakeholders. Community communication for grassroots levels and advocacy for key leaders, funding agencies. Which, in your opinion, best approaches a development problem? Through the leader or through the people? Or is there another answer? Please share here. So basically, that is it for my presentation. Thank you for listening to my report. And you can see my references here. You can read through them, and I will also share them in the forum as a text. And that is it. Thank you.